welcome to High Point. Today we are going to learn about yet another the most important tragedy or play by William Shakespeare, Othello. Okay, Othello, you must be very familiar with this title. Some of you must have learned Othello in their MA or UG classes, and Othello is one of his major tragedies, and it is one of the major work that was studied by critics. If you consider the plays by Shakespeare, then by the way, I hope that the previous video, which was about measure for measure in this lecture series, was useful in your net preparation, and also you have visited my website www.highpoint.in or message me in the given WhatsApp number that you can find here on the screen. And if you want to have daily quizzes, news and updates related to NTA, UGC, Net English, and also follow me in the Instagram for more reels and savable and materials like study cards and all these things, all these materials that I am sharing there in my Instagram are related to NTA, UGC, Net English, language and literature, which will be really helpful for you guys. And with this introduction, let me get into our main topic of this video, Othello. And if you are ready with your paper and pen, let's begin without wasting time. Like always, we will have first an introduction, then we will follow the major character list of the play, then we will discuss the action going on or the plot of the play in detail. So let's dig into the introduction to the play. So it's a tragedy by Shakespeare. So we can see here I have given the year of composition of Othello as 1603. Please note down that. And if you study everything chronologically, one major thing, one major benefit of learning anything systematically and chronologically is that this will be helpful in your while you are attempting exam, because already when you are learning something systematically and chronologically, especially chronology, following the chronology is very important, because the questions related to arrange things in chronological order is a common thing that you can find in UGC Net English Language and Literature question paper. So learn that chronologically. Don't randomly learn and then try to arrange everything chronologically, so that it actually create a kind of chaos inside your brain. Don't go for that when you start learning anything, especially language and literature. And if you're very serious about your net and JRF goals, then do everything systematically. That's exactly what I have done in my website. I have arranged everything systematically and also especially chronologically, because you can see that I have arranged all the authors of literature, English literature, world literature, or American literature, or any other literature, or any other topics in my website, all the PDF savable downloadable materials, everything, and also previous question papers in chronological order. I have followed a chronology everywhere and a system everywhere. So if you go and visit my website, you can have more details there. So, and if you want to have more details about the course that I'm offering in my website, and if you want to join a WhatsApp group to have daily quizzes and news and updates related to UGC Net English, you can message me in the given number that you can see on the screen. Okay, back into the point. The full title of the play is The Tragedy of Othello, The Moor of Venice. See, when you read these titles, the full titles, maybe you will feel that this is easy. It is easy only, but when too many such thing comes, every other play there will be a full title, every other novel there will be a full title, there will be an alternate title, there will be an original title which was changed later by the author. Then if you don't know it correctly, clearly and absolutely, then you can get confused. So don't go for such confusion. Make a note of somewhere. If you're taking note, then note down that the full title of Othello is The Tragedy of Othello, The Moor of Venice. Set in the contemporary Ottoman-Venetian War fought for the control of the island of Cyprus. So this is the background historical event going on, or Shakespeare set the action of the play going on inside Othello as in the background of the then contemporary Ottoman-Venetian War fought for the control of the island of Cyprus. So in that background, we can see that the play is moving. The story revolves around two characters. We can see two characters, two major male characters here, Othello and Iago. So many claim that Iago is a purposeless villain. Iago is simply against Othello, and he feels simply jealous against Othello and does everything to ruin the life of Othello. But many believe that when post-colonial literature and evolved and post-colonial literature theory and criticism evolved, we can see that Iago is analyzed a character who is not purposeless, but he has a very good purpose, because Othello, he's a black man, he's a Moor, and a, he is at very good position. He's a general, and he is very capable. He has abilities. He even managed to have Desdemona, one of the beautiful girl in the country, in the place, to have his side and marry to her in secret, and they were in love. But Iago, he has to work under Othello, and something never happens according to the expectations of Othello, expectations of Iago. That's why he turned against Othello. So all those things are there around the character Othello and Iago. Let's see. And it is the story of a renowned general whose domestic bliss is destroyed by the hourly calculating villain Iago, who successfully exploits the protagonist's weakness, his highly credulous nature. Okay, so what is the tragic flow? According to Aristotle, there should be a hamartia. A tragic flow must be there in a tragic hero in order to that tragedy happen. So for Hamlet, it was procrastination. For Macbeth, it is for Macbeth it is desire of power. For Othello, it is his high credulous nature. See, Iago is actually calculating. He is a calculating villain. He uses this meek quality or weak quality of Othello by understanding that, see, Othello, making him to believe something is very easy. You just need to put some events, and he is not going to analyze anything. He is not going to ask anything for explanation to anyone. He is not going to consult anything about the truth or validity of the things said by Iago profoundly or deeply. So he is highly credulous in nature. So he is actually using that weak point of Othello in order to destroy the domestic bliss, the domestic good life that he is having with Desdemona. Okay, let's see. Let's go deep into it later. Now let's see the major characters in the play. Brabantio, he's a senator, and two other senators we can see in the play. Gratiano, Gratiano is brother to Brabantio. Then Lodovico is a kinsman to Brabantio. Then Othello is the Moor. He's the protagonist, Othello. Then Cassio, he's the lieutenant of Othello. Cassio, so mainly Iago got a problem with Othello because Othello chose Cassio as his lieutenant instead or over Iago. Okay, so that was the first spark. Then Rodrigo, he's a Venetian gentleman. Montano is Othello's predecessor in the government of Cyprus. Then Clown, there is a clown is servant to Othello. Then Desdemona is daughter to Brabantio. See, Desdemona is daughter to Brabantio, and she was in love with Othello, and later she elopes with Othello and get married in secret, and now when the story opens, we can see she is wife to Othello. Then Emilia is also another villainous character, but she turns to be good towards the end of the play. Emilia, she's wife of Iago. Then Bianca, she's a courtesan and also mistress to Cassio. Okay, so Bianca, she is mistress to Cassio and also a courtesan. Then officers, gentlemen, messengers, sailors, attendants, etc. Many other such characters we can see, minor characters we can see. So just remember the important characters: Brabantio, Desdemona's father, and Iago and his wife, Emilia and Cassio. These many people at least you have to remember in order to remember the story of Othello. Okay, now let's go deep into the summary of the play. We will have scene-wise summary. And before beginning the play, you have to understand the position of Othello. Okay, Othello is a military commander of Moorish race who was serving as general of the Venetian army in defense of Cyprus against the invasion by Ottoman Turks. We have already discussed the setup of the play. Like, it is happening, the action of the play is happening in the background of Ottoman Venetian war happened for the control, to have the control of the island of Cyprus. Othello is a military commander and he is serving as a general of the Venetian army in defense of Cyprus. Okay, so he is in defense of Cyprus against the invasion of Ottoman Turks. Okay, remember that about Othello. Okay, now let's go to the first act and scene 1. A conversation between Iago, the villain, and Rodrigo, the Venetian gentleman, who is one of the disappointed suitors of Desdemona. So Desdemona, she is very beautiful, and she's actually very innocent too. She had many suitors. When the story opens itself, Iago is having a conversation with a gentleman, Venetian gentleman known as Rodrigo, who is disappointed that Desdemona, he didn't get Desdemona, and Desdemona is now with Othello. Everybody knew that. Now, but Iago is a person who actually pours oil into the fire, and Iago, he made him believe that she is still in his reach. See, if you want Rodrigo, if you want Desdemona, she's still there, she's still in your reach. So Iago actually encourages Rodrigo and gives him false expectations, and Iago discloses to Rodrigo that there is no love lost between him and Othello, who had denied him the position due to him despite the recommendations made by 3 powerful people in Venice. So Iago, when the play opens, Iago is disappointed with Othello's action. So Iago is not at all in favor of Othello, even though he is he is doing everything under Othello. But he discloses, means he reveals to Rodrigo that, see, you can have Desdemona even though Desdemona is wife to Othello, because I don't have any guilty mind towards Othello if something happens to Othello, because he denied me something which I deserve. In my mind, I deserve best, and despite recommendations were made by 3 powerful people of Venice, Othello chose Cassio over Iago. So, Cassio was given the promotion as his lieutenant, and he also makes it clear that in following Othello, I follow but myself, and I am not what I am. So this is a dialogue. Please learn and note on this dialogue. It is a dialogue by Iago, the character of Othello, the play Othello, that Iago says about himself. See, even though you see that I follow the orders of Othello, but inside I'm not following Othello, and you are seeing me as a great friend to Othello, but I am not what I am. I have some other intentions in my mind, and this is itself is a kind of mysterious things. From this dialogue itself, we can understand that Iago is going to do something very tremendously tragic, that will cause immense amount of misery and tragedy in Othello's life. And he also reveals Desdemona's lament with Othello, and also he plans to fill his life with miseries. Now, Act 1, Scene 2, Iago plays a double game here. So when he is with Othello, he acts very friendly, and behind Othello, he is planning everything, and he is just putting Othello in that situation which was prior planned by Iago and carries out, and exactly Othello falls. Since Othello is an extremely credulous person, so Iago plays a double game with and without, with Othello, or behind Othello, and behind Othello. He said that Brabantio, being his faithful servant, talks ill of him. Okay, so first he says that Brabantio is Desdemona's father. So Iago says to Othello that, see, Brabantio is a faithful servant, but he talks ill of him, and Cassius arrives and informs him that the Duke wants to see him at once to discuss the problems connected with Cyprus. And Brabantio then comes to arrest him, but Othello said that he is going to meet the Duke, so he also decided to take up the matter with the Duke. So see, for the Duke, their family matter, Brabantio family matter and daughter comes secondary when it comes to Cyprus, the island Cyprus, the war going on there. So the invasion going on there. So Othello, he says that when Brabantio comes there to arrest Othello, he says that, see, I was called by Duke, so I have to go there, I have more important tasks to finish. So Duke, no, he refused to come with Brabantio. So Brabantio also decided to take this matter with the Duke. Act 1, Scene 3. Othello, followed by Brabantio and his officers, arrives to the court of the Duke. So now the scene shifted to the court of the Duke, and Othello, Brabantio, all other followers and attendants were there. The Duke first sees Othello and then heard the complaint of Brabantio. So this is what exactly that I said. When it comes to the case of war, for the Duke, who is more important? Othello is more important because he is the commander of the army. Brabantio is there to have a solution for his personal problem, his family problem, because his daughter was in love with Desdemona and they got married, they eloped and they got married. That matter is less important for the Duke. So he sees Othello first and he asked to wait. He asked Brabantio to wait and only heard his complaint after meeting Othello. Othello confessed of marrying his daughter Desdemona, but not against his will. So, after hearing Brabantio's complained about Othello confessed and he admitted that, see, they eloped and they got married. Now Desdemona is his wife and everything happened because they were in love. The Duke sent for her to give her testimony, while Othello explains how they fell in love with each other as he visited Brabantio and narrated about the brave wars this bring them together. Desdemona came and confirmed her own will in marrying him. So Desdemona, she comes and it was never a force. Desdemona confirmed that she was in love with Othello, and that's why they eloped and they got married. No force was there against her will. And hearing this, Brabantio was disappointed and told Othello, she who can deceive her own father can one day deceive you. So out of the grudge or out of the disappointment that Brabantio had in his mind, he wanted Othello. Out of that only, he never wanted any harm for his daughter. But Brabantio said to Othello that, see, I am her father. She can deceive me. Now, if she can deceive me, her own father, one day she can deceive you too, being her husband. Then Othello went for Cyprus. So he never paid much attention to Brabantio's words. So Othello went for Cyprus and asked Iago to bring her there, taking him as trustworthy. Now Rodrigo is there as a disappointed suitor to Desdemona. So Iago asked Rodrigo also to come to Cyprus to have her. Now there Act 1 ends. Act 2, Scene 1. In the sea, the Turkish fleet was scattered by a storm, but Othello was also in the sea. So now we can see a war front. The war is happening in the sea. The Turkish fleet is there and Turkish fleet was scattered by the storm, but Othello was also there in the sea with his fleet. And Desdemona, along with Iago, Rodrigo, and Emilia, arrived at Cyprus. So at that moment, during that time, Desdemona, along with Iago, Rodrigo, and Iago's wife Emilia, arrived in Cyprus. And Cassio gave her due respect and takes her by hand and kissed on her hand. So what happens? It was a custom there. Kissing on her a lady's hand is not at all an offensive thing in their land. So Cassio gave her due respect and take her by hand and kissed her on her hand. So it is a custom in their culture. Maybe in our culture it is not proper, but it is a proper thing to give respect, proper way to give respect to a lady in their time. And Iago noticed it and thought this will be useful for his plans. And Othello also safely returned to Cyprus. So we can see that even though Turkish fleet was scattered in the storm, Othello and his fellow men, they returned to Cyprus safely. And by seeing the happy couple, Rodrigo was upset, but Iago encouraged him by entrusting him the task of provoking Cassio that night. So basically, Iago is actually giving false hopes to Rodrigo just in order to carry out his plans to make, you know, their life miserable. Iago is the man who actually controls everyone, by giving false expectation, by giving false interpretations to Othello of Cassio and Desdemona's actions, and also advising Cassius to do many things in the future that we will see. When Othello returned, he got reunited with Desdemona, and by seeing the happy couple, Rodrigo got upset and Iago encouraged me. See, you wait for the right time, Desdemona will come to your hand. You can have Desdemona when the time comes, and now you have to do one thing, you have to provoke Cassio as much as you can in this night. Now Iago, when everyone leaves, Iago does a bit think aloud. That means a kind of soliloquy. He is just thinking aloud about the thoughts going on his mind. He suspects his wife cheating on him with Othello or Cassio. He decided to go even for both. Act 2, Scene 2. The herald announced the complete destroying of Turkish fleet. Now Turkish fleet is completely destroyed. A herald announced that, and so everyone can indulge in enjoyment. Beside, it was Othello's nuptial night. Nuptial night means marriage night, and the first night after their marriage. So everyone, now it was announced that Turkish fleet completely destroyed, so they can have some merriment now. That night, Cassio was watching over the island. Iago successfully tempted him to have more wine and lose his balance. So now he wanted to, first, what is his intention? He wanted to, portray Cassio as a very irresponsible person, as a very irresponsible lieutenant of Othello in the eyes of Othello, so that Cassio could come more and more to plead, and he has already asked, Iago has already asked Rodrigo to go to Cassio and tempt him and infuriate him and to have a fight with him. So why he is doing that, why Iago is doing all this plan? Because he wanted to portray Cassio as a bad and irresponsible lieutenant of Othello in the eyes of Othello, and want to create a gap and distance between them, to lose their trust for each other. Okay. Later, Othello also comes to the spot and he dismissed Cassio without any hearing from him. So, as planned, a fight between Rodrigo and Cassio happened, and by hearing their sound of fight, the people came around them, and Othello also, after hearing the sound of fight, he also comes to the spot, and by seeing that Cassio, who is responsible for watching over the island, now he is drunk and he has no balance in him and he has lost everything, and Cassio, without even hearing anything from Cassio, he dismissed Cassio. Okay. Iago said to Cassio that he can go ask Desdemona to have a word with Othello in favor of him. So here he starts his planning to sow the seeds of suspicion in the mind of Othello. So after, when he got dismissed from dismissal from Othello, Iago asked Cassio, and he pretended that he wanted to save Cassio, and he asked Cassio that, see, you can go and ask Desdemona's help in order to solve everything between you and Othello, because Desdemona is so beloved to Othello, he cannot refuse any other demands made by Desdemona. So you can use that. You can have a favor from him if Desdemona speaks a few words of favor for Cassio to Othello. Iago set another trap to sow the seeds of jealousy in Othello's mind. Here, Now we can see Iago also asked Emilia to give a good word about Cassio to Desdemona. So Iago is there who is actually creating everything in favor of him. He actually creates situations with other people and he drags the desirable, the suitable ones to that trap and make everything as according to him. So Iago also asked Emilia, you have to give a good word about Cassio. When you serve, when you casually talk to Desdemona, you have to give a good word about Cassio to Desdemona. That Emilia does very neatly, and he decided to give Cassio a private moment with Desdemona by drawing Othello from her and make him enter while Cassio is busy in pleading for him in order to grow the jealousy. So this is how he creates situations. So he decided that, see, he will draw Othello. He will make Othello absent in his tent while Desdemona is alone, and he will ask Cassio to go and meet Desdemona during that time when Desdemona is alone in her place, in her chamber, and or in her tent, and he will make Othello to re-enter into the tent when Cassio is busy in asking or pleading for him to Desdemona. And this will actually create, and he will make some fire there, that he will grow jealousy in the mind of Othello. So everything goes as planned by Iago, that we will see later in the scenes. So there ends Act 2 of the play. We can have Act 3 scene 1 here. Iago gets the information that everything goes as planned by him, while he acts as well as a well-wisher of Cassio, tell him that he will create a private moment with Desdemona so that he could plead with her. So see, Iago is also acting a well-wisher to Cassio as well as to Othello. Okay, so he's actually not even playing a double game or a triple game, or he's actually having different faces with different people. See, basically he's against everyone. He is using the people around him to have his plans done in accordance with him. So Iago, he is satisfied that everything is going on as he planned, and he is pretending like a well-wisher to Cassio, and tells him that he can arrange a private moment with the Desdemona when nobody is there in her tent, and you can go to her and plead her for some few favorable words to Othello. And Act 3, Scene 2. Othello sends some letters through Iago to the pilot and asks him to join him later when he will be attending to matters relating to the fortification of the island. Then Act 3, Scene 3, Desdemona assures Cassio of all possible help. So Cassio went to her tent in private when Desdemona is alone, and he pleads, and Desdemona, being very innocent, and she must have already heard a good word from Emilia about Cassio. So Desdemona, she assures Cassio of all possible help from her side. And Cassio leaves the place with, unfortunately, gave the impression that he slunk away, which was seen by Othello and Iago used the best of it by saying, I like not that. So I like not that is a sentence delivered by Iago in the presence of Othello. See, Iago arranged the meeting of Cassio and Desdemona in such a way that when nobody was present there, even Emilia was absent. So Desdemona and Cassio, they engaged in a talk. Well, nothing was going on there. Cassio was simply pleading Desdemona's good words in favor of him to Othello. But when he left the tent, so nothing malicious was going on there. Nobody is cheating on Othello. Simply want to have his position restored there, Cassio. So Cassio, when he was leaving Desdemona's place, her chamber or tent, whatever it is, it gave actually the impression that he slunk away from that place when Othello and Iago was approaching that place. Okay, so Othello was not actually thinking anything, but Iago, he used that situation at best, and he said to make in a loud voice, sufficient enough to heard by Othello, he said that I like not that. And it actually triggered the jealousy and suspicion in his mind against Desdemona and Cassio. And Desdemona was waiting for Othello. Desdemona was unaware about Othello's impressions about him, the sudden change of his mind and all. So Desdemona told Othello about Cassio's pardon, and while Othello was getting irritated by hearing this, because already the suspicion, the seed of suspicion, and there in his mind, which was sowed by whom? Iago. So when he heard the name Cassio from Desdemona's mouth, and she is even making some good words in favor of him, he actually got irritated. But he never tries even for once to ask Desdemona what is going on between you and Cassius. Anything happening? Are you cheating on me? He never asks, not only to Desdemona but to anyone else, to have a clear cut picture of this situation and clear cut things, clear cut view of anything that are said by Iago. So Iago, knowing this weak point of Othello, he is feeding Othello and his jealousy. By now, he is in a state that he even orders a look after Desdemona. So, Iago is continuously doing everything to make the situation worse. And he is now ordered someone to look after Desdemona, her actions closely. Iago said that if Desdemona further pleads for him, even there is a reason to be worried. So Iago said that, see, Iago pretends that he is a well-wisher of Othello, and to Cassio he also pretends that he is a well-wisher of Cassio. So Iago said that, see, if Desdemona comes to you and pleads for Cassio, even then further, then you need to have a reason to worry that Desdemona is surely cheating on you. And Desdemona thought that Othello's bad mood is because of headache, but she could not find a handkerchief to wrap his head. And this is very important, because the handkerchief, a particular handkerchief is there, and that is the first gift by Othello to Desdemona. She cannot find that particular handkerchiefs. So prior to this, another thing happened, that Emilia took to Iago the first gift by Othello to her, a kerchief, as told by Iago. So Iago knew that the first gift by Othello to Desdemona is a handkerchief, is a kerchief. So if that handkerchief is lost and that handkerchief is found at the hand of Cassio, then things will be very, very worse. As planned before, Iago made Emilia to take that handkerchief from Desdemona and use it appropriately to carry out his actions. And he decided to drop it in the room of Cassio, so that when the time comes, Othello also discover that is the handkerchief, which is a precious gift, which is the first gift. And now Othello is very serious about all these things. Okay, so Othello will find the handkerchief with Cassio, and this will even arise, burn him inside. And Othello asked a solid proof of Desdemona's disloyalty to Iago. See, he is not asking anything to Desdemona, anything to Emilia, anything to any other person to check whether all these things are actually happening or not. Iago made a story instantly that Cassio kissed him in sleep by telling Desdemona's name. See, Iago, when he was asked a solid proof of Desdemona's disloyalty, Iago made an instant story from there itself, like Cassio kissed him while he was sleeping, and he also mentioned the name, or also said the name Desdemona while kissing him. So Iago further burned the jealousy by pretending the goodness between Othello and Desdemona. And Othello resolved to kill both Cassio and Desdemona after hearing Iago's suggestive talk. So, he actually pushed Othello by, creating such a burning mind inside Othello, that Othello ultimately, he made a decision to kill both Cassio and Desdemona after hearing, Iago's suggestive talks about them. Act 3, Scene 4. Desdemona, unaware of the mind of Othello, calls Cassio to arrange the meeting with Othello to resolve problems. So Desdemona now also think that, maybe something because of his whole responsibility of the army and all, Othello is disturbed. Nothing much is there. She never imagines that his Othello's mind is against her, and he suspects Desdemona. And she's such an innocent, sweet woman. And Desdemona, unaware of anything going on in the mindset of Othello, she arranges a meeting. She decided to arrange a meeting between Cassio and Othello in order to resolve and solve problems. And Othello was greatly disturbed by hearing about Cassio from Desdemona, and he asked the handkerchief which was given to her. And she took it lightly and continues about Cassio. So when he asked the handkerchief, he said, see, why you are asking about the handkerchief, and that is not important here now. So she also continuously talking about Cassio. And she never thought that if she, that handkerchief is important, but it will be so important that even that will be a fact in determining whether she is cheating on him. And also she never thinks like that. And Adollo stormed out of the rooms. And when he asked the handkerchief, and she tells that she gave less importance to that handkerchief, and she continued to talk about Cassio, and she wanted to make things clear between these two people. Then Othello was infuriated, and he stormed out of the room at once. And Cassio and Iago came there to meet Othello, but he was not there. So Cassio and Iago, both of them, they came to Othello to meet him, but he was not there. Cassio meets his mistress Bianca. So Cassio's mistress is Bianca, and gave the handkerchief. So Cassio is also unaware about the honor of this handkerchief and the importance of this handkerchief. So he wanted to make the same kind of handkerchief in order to give his mistress Bianca. And Act 4, Scene 1. Iago tells Othello that Cassio uses the handkerchief and he could not imagine it, and he faints. So Iago now says that, see, the handkerchief is with Cassio. It is actually with Cassio, but who gave him? He was, Iago dropped a handkerchief in his chamber, and Cassio, he doesn't know that the honor of this handkerchief is Desdemona, and it was the first token of love given by Othello to Desdemona. So without knowing all this, or unaware of all these facts related to the handkerchief, he wanted to make the same copy of the handkerchief in order to give that to his mistress Bianca. Iago comes and tells to Othello that Cassio uses this handkerchief now. So who can possibly give this handkerchief to him? It is Desdemona only, right? So by hearing this, Othello cannot imagine that Cassio is using and wiping his mouth and kissing on that handkerchief. He cannot imagine it, and he faints down. And Bianca comes to Cassio with the kerchief and accused him of being disloyal. So Bianca, by seeing this, she suspected that Cassio is being disloyal with him, and accuses him of disloyalty. And hearing this, Othello thought Desdemona is a flirt. So Bianca's coming and talking to Cassio was also heard by Othello, and Othello thought about Desdemona that she is cuckolding and she is just a flirt, nothing more. And Desdemona enters with Lodovico to make things okay between Cassio and Othello. Desdemona, even now, she is unaware about all these things. Desdemona is also coming with Lodovico in order to make everything clear between Cassio and Othello. And Othello is infuriated, extremely irritated, and disturbed because of Desdemona and Cassio. She doesn't know it. And he was rude and strike her publicly. When Desdemona comes with Lodovico to make things clear between Cassio and Othello, he was very rude. He was infuriated. Now you want to make clear everything between me and your lover, your flirt. Then he was very rude and strike her publicly. And Desdemona leaves the place without a word of protest. So Desdemona was surprised, and she cannot say anything. So she is such a naive person. So Desdemona leaves the place without a word of protest. Act 4, Scene 2. Othello questions Emilia about Desdemona's inconsistency, about Emilia answered negatively about all the allegations. So Othello, he does this, okay. So Othello questions Emilia, just goes to Emilia, and because Emilia is close to Desdemona, and Othello is actually, even though he is infuriated, he is at anger, and he is rude to Desdemona, he cannot believe that Desdemona has capable to do anything like that. So he does not believe actually inside his mind that Desdemona could cheat him. So Othello questions Emilia, who is much close to Desdemona, about Desdemona's any sort of inconsistency or any sort of cheating going on, disloyalty. But Emilia answered everything negatively, that all these allegations are false and Desdemona is a pure lady. And even then, because Iago, whatever Iago is telling is more credible to Othello accused Desdemona of her disloyalty on her face, and she could not believe this. So now only she came to know why and what Othello is mad about her. Okay, so Othello accused Desdemona on her face about her disloyalty. Okay, and she could not believe this, until now she was unaware why Othello is disturbed, why he is acting rude, why he is irritated to her whenever she is talking to him. So now he knew that Desdemona was accused of disloyalty, and she asked Emilia to lay her wedding sheet over her bed tonight. So now she says, maybe if she expresses some love towards him, maybe he will be fine. She confessed her woes to Iago to make things good. And Iago also comes to Desdemona to pretending that he is a well-wisher. And in that particular night, Othello arranged a supper for the messenger for Venice, and Desdemona has to, as a matter of courtesy, she has to join her husband in that supper, which was arranged by Othello himself. So she goes. And Rodrigo meets Iago and asks to do something, as he had spent a fortune to him. So Iago was using Rodrigo and his fortune, his wealth, to carry out his action. So Rodrigo comes to Iago and asked to do something in order to get Desdemona, because he has spent a lot of money on him, on his plans. And Iago asked to do a task of mortally wounding Iago, who is to have supper at that night in Emilia's place. So Iago is actually suspecting his wife Emilia uh, as having an affair with Cassio or Othello. And Iago asked a final task. So he soothes Rodrigo too. And Iago asked a final, say, if you do only this thing, this final task, everything will be alright. And Iago asked to do a task of, you only have to do, you have to mortally wound Cassio, who is having a supper at that night in Emilia's place. And Rodrigo, like a fool, agrees to do so. So he is actually making everyone out of a fool. So Iago uses Othello, Iago uses Desdemona, Iago uses Cassio, Iago uses Roderick, Emilia, everyone and everything around him to carry out his plans. Such a filthy minded person Iago is. Act 4, Scene 3. She soon returns to the room and Emilia changes her to night dress. So she means Desdemona, after the supper, she backs to his room and Emilia changes her to night dress. Then what happens? And Desdemona, when they were changing the dress and when they were doing everything, she actually thinks about her death, and in a moment she says to Emilia that if she dies before Emilia, if Desdemona dies before Emilia's death, then she has to wrap her in one of these wedding sheets. So this is actually a prophecy that she even suspects that maybe her imminent death is coming. So she demanded that to Emilia, and she sends Emilia away, which again in her husband's command. So Emily was sent away from her as commanded by her husband. And Act 5, Scene 1, Rodrigo is grievously wounded in his encounter with Cassio while Iago stabbed him from behind in darkness. So what happens, as told by Iago, Rodrigo and Cassio, they engaged in a kind of fight, and Rodrigo was grievously and deeply wounded or mortally wounded in his encounter with Cassio, and Iago also stabbed him from behind in darkness. When the light comes, Cassio pointed that Rodrigo is the one who attacked him. So this is what exactly happened, right? But Iago pretends to help him, but actually hastened his death. So what happens? Rodrigo and Cassio, they were they engaged in a fight as told by Iago to Rodrigo, and Rodrigo was mortally wounded, and Cassio was also wounded because he was stabbed by Iago from behind in darkness. And when light comes, Iago pointed that Rodrigo was the one who started attacking him, and Iago also pretended that he is helping Cassio, but actually he actually delayed the medical thing which must be given to Cassio and Rodrigo, and actually hastened their death. And Bianco also came to the spot. Act 5, Scene 2, Othello enters the chamber where Desdemona is fast asleep, and Loki follows. So Othello comes to this come to the chamber of Desdemona, and she was sleeping there, and by seeing that his soul Loki follows, and by hearing his voice Desdemona wakes up. Othello accuses her of cuckoldry with Cassio, but she denies and asks to call Cassio and question him. See, even the innocent Desdemona has this, conscious of mind, has this prudency that you have to check before believing something. But Othello, being so wise and being a commander of the fleet, even he didn't thought of the necessity to check the truth value of everything which was pouring over into him by Iago. So when Othello accused Desdemona of cuckoldry, of cheating or disloyalty with Cassio, she denied everything because she never committed such a crime. So she asked, you can ask Cassio, you can call Cassio and question him. See, Iago thought this before, that when Othello accused Desdemona about disloyalty, she will deny it because she has not done that, anything like that. So she will ask Othello to ask Cassio. So if Cassio is not in a position to ask or not in a position to answer any of his questions, then that will be favorable to Iago. So that is why he wanted to get Cassio mortally wounded at that night, in that night particularly. But he said that Cassio is already killed by honest Iago, so he proceeds to strangle her, who stoically accepts her fate. So now he knew that Cassio was killed by honest Iago. He tells that he labeling Iago as honest, that he will soon discover whether Iago is honest. So he said that Cassio is already killed by Iago, and now you have to die. Now it is time for Desdemona to die at the hands of Othello. So he proceeds to strangle her. So she said that now she has no escape. So I must submit to your intentions of killing me. So she accepts her fate. Emilia comes to inform that Rodrigo was dead, but Cassio had a narrow escape. And Othello is misled by Iago here again, that Cassio is dead, by informing that Cassio is dead. But actually Cassio had a narrow escape from death while Rodrigo died. Emilia comes and informs that, but she saw only the dying Desdemona, and her last words, "Nobody, I myself farewell, command me to my kind lord." So when Emilia comes there to inform this, she saw that Desdemona is dying, and her last words are, "Nobody, I myself farewell, command me to my kind lord." Emilia revealed everything to Othello by seeing the dead innocent Desdemona. So Desdemona already died, and she was strangled by her husband Othello. And by seeing this horrible sight, Emilia knew every other plan of Iago. She's the one who took the kerchief from Desdemona and dropped that in Cassio's chamber, and also Emilia knew everything. So by seeing this, Emilia revealed everything to Othello. He got everything in light and killed Iago and killed himself. So this way, this whole story ends. That's how the extreme credulity, the extreme belief on someone can kill someone. Okay, so don't believe anyone that deep. Okay, don't believe, because they are also human beings. They will have bad intention towards you. And even being the commander of a fleet, being the general, even such a wise person who is responsible to take wise decisions about anything and everything, Othello failed to check the truth value because his nature is extreme credibility. He easily believes every other person, but he never tried to check anything clearly from the starting point to anything to Desdemona, anything to Cassius, anything to Rodrigo, and any other characters. Okay, so he believed whatever Iago says and displayed before him. Don't go for whatever you are seeing, it can be misleading. Don't go whatever you are hearing from other people, it can be misleading. That actually ruin. See, if you knew anything just a moment before killing Desdemona, then things can be different, right? But that was the fate. Now, these are the themes in the play. Race, religious, and philosophical themes are there. The incapability of military heroism and love, the danger of isolation, jealousy, deception, and treachery. So, all these things are themes of this play. The race, as a major theme, evolved after post-colonial analysis of this play. Like, he is a black Moor of Venice, and Iago and every other people, they are white people. When they wanted to, especially when Iago wanted to work or have to work under black Moor, black commander, he had some problem with that, racial problems with that. So we can have such a theme in here too. So remember the major plot and actions going on inside the play, and also the characters. If you remember the major plot of the play or the actions in the play, you will definitely remember the character's name. So that's all about the tragedy by Shakespeare, Othello. So I hope this was useful, and comment below the major points, the major actions going on in the play, and also major characters of the play, so that the future students, they can have a look at it. And I also wanted to know whether you get a benefit out of it. So anyway, YouTube videos have its own limitation, and if you wanted to have systematically, chronologically arranged study materials, you can visit my website and you can listen to them limitlessly anywhere and everywhere. And go and visit my website www.highpoint if you want such facilities, if you are very serious about your UGC NET JRF exams. And let me know your impressions about my website, and as well as my video contents in my channel. And thank you guys for watching so far, and meet you in the next video with yet another topic related to UGC NET English Language and Literature. Don't forget to follow me in Instagram. I have given my ID here. You can have savable materials there, like in the form of study cards and small videos. And don't forget to visit my website www.highpoint.in. and also, if you wanted to know anything more, you can directly WhatsApp me or call me in this given number. So meet you in the next video with yet another topic of study. Until then, stay tuned to my channel and have fun with literature. Bye bye and thank you.